Do you all remember when Kamala said this?
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him.
And then the media wrote articles like this. And I think it's important to remember that Kamala Harris wasn't just running against Donald Trump, she was running against media too. And the best interpretation of that is that the media was trying to be even-handed in their criticisms of Trump and Kamala. But worst case scenario, it was that the media wanted Trump to win because they figure he is better for their bottom line because they make money off of the chaos and disruption that he generates in his wake. And this is important to acknowledge and recognize so that we can counter it going forward, but also because history is being rewritten at an alarming rate, and we need to do everything in our power not to let it get rewritten. Because at some point, people are going to be held accountable for what is happening right now, and it's going to be important that we know what the truth is.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just a daily reminder that Kamala Harris was right about everything.
We have to look at this in the context of other behaviors by this president as it relates to Iran. He took unilateral action to withdraw us from the Iran nuclear deal. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people thought it should be stronger than it was, but it was very well negotiated, and people were complying with it. And he pulls us out of it based on unilateral action, frankly, from my perspective, born out of his fragile ego. And everything that we have seen happen since was predictable to one extent or another. Iran poses a real threat to the United States based on its nuclear capabilities. And the negotiation of the JCPOA and that Iran nuclear deal was a smart way to put a cap on that in terms of escalating the threat. And now we look, and then apparently he's tweeting out, this bravado about, lock and loaded. What does that mean? Okay, and also...
Well, it's an implicit military threat that the U.S. is going to use. We're going to use U.S. force.
Yes, it is. And again, listen, as far as I'm concerned, this president is motivated by his personal insecurities more than he is our national security. And so what we're looking at is, again, a threat that might be taken seriously. And I would dare to say that that threat was issued without serious consultation with our allies, with our military leaders, with our diplomatic leaders. What are our alternatives? Let's also be clear, if this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable.
A military presence, armed troops in U.S. cities under presidential control. Remember when Steve Bannon talked about Trump's going to send shock troops? They're doing it. They're doing it. And so I want to hear from the people who said, I know it sounds like Trump's this horrible authoritarian, but it's a lot of bluster, and he really wouldn't be that different from Kamala Harris. And speaking of which, as a reminder, remember when Kamala Harris said this at her final campaign rally? And so many people said, she's being hyperbolic. She was ridiculed for it by many. Even some on the left said, she's being so hyperbolic. It's like the Hillary thing. Turned out Hillary not getting those 3 Supreme Court picks was a pretty damn big deal, wasn't it? So this is where we find ourselves. And the question now is, how are the American people going to respond?
So, not so long ago, during the campaign for the election, Kamala Harris made a statement, and everybody blew it off. Just blew it off like she's lying. Just a liberal going loony. What was it that she said? It was called the lie, Kamala Harris's new lie, because she said Trump would send the army after you. And all the megas went, she's a lying bitch. She's lying. There's no way. This is just bullshit. A new hoax, a new whatever. Well, what's happening right now? Well, he's already sent them to D.C., and now he's planning on sending them to 19 other states that you can see here. Kamala Harris wasn't lying, nor was she lying about much of what she said about Donald Trump, and most of people who are saying things about Donald Trump isn't lying either. We knew this. We said it. We warned you. Now, you megas are going to cheer for this. This is what's called being an authoritarian, a dictator. This is the shit you see in China, in Russia, in places where dictators control people. This isn't about crime. This isn't about homeless people. This isn't about anything other than him taking control of the states and the police by the use of the military. He might as well just say that he's taken over every state and put the National Guard on the streets of every state. Red states and blue states. Shit, he might as well just say, starting on Monday, we're having martial law. This is what happens when you put an insane person in office who, by all means, by all reports, is suffering from an illness.
That was Kamala Harris during the election. My only question is she a fortune teller? Or is she just right about everything? What? Huh? She knew everything. She got a crystal ball, tarot cards, astrology. Or is she just right because we all knew? Well, not all of us. Some of us didn't know and elected the wrong person.
Kamala said Putin would eat Trump for lunch, and ate he did today. She said Putin would be sitting in Kiev right now if Trump were president. And if you paid close attention to the summit, short press conference, no questions, no real outcomes, just Trump saying it was productive. For whom? Putin? This was honestly the weirdest, shortest, most controlled summit I've ever seen. Behind closed doors, who knows what deals or promises or whatever were whispered. The optics, terrifying. Putin was calm, Trump was not. I cannot count how many times that man thanked President Putin. We just had a preview of what happens when Putin calls the shots on national television. The American people are okay with this? History is watching, and it's terrifying to see Kamala's warning play out like a prophecy. Someone please tell me we're not about to find out what productive really meant.
Treasure your debate with Trump. That was one of the greatest rhetorical performances I've ever seen. You smoked him like a ham. I just want to remind everybody, you warned everyone about the future under our present president. You said he would prosecute his political enemies. He would cut Medicare. He would ignore court orders. He would alienate our allies. He would give massive tax cuts to the rich. And I know you're not here to say, I told you so, but would you like to?
But let me just say this. You are correct that I did predict a lot of it. But Stephen, what I did not predict was the capitulation. I didn't predict that.
People would roll over for this president.
didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. And perhaps it's naive of me, someone who has seen a lot that most people.
And if I was Kamala Harris, I would have named that book I Told You So. Bitch, I would do a full rollout of I Told You So t-shirts, I Told You So hats, I Told You So bags, pins, everything. I would absolutely use this moment to relish in the fact that I told you bitches what was going to happen and you didn't listen. Like, as someone that likes to be right even when I'm wrong, this one time that I'm actually right, bitch, I'm milking it till the cows come home. Like the fact that there is documented proof that I was right all along. Oh my God. I would put that shit on my goddamn tombstone. Like, in the history of being right, nobody has ever been righter than Kamala. Like, not only was she right, she was right about everything. She gave you bitches a step-by-step playbook of what the fuck would happen, and everything happened in the same order. I would be on a fucking I Told You Bitches So tour as we speak. I would go around to every motherfucking state and hold a press conference just to say, I told you so. I told you so. Like, she is absolutely not being petty enough for me. Fuck the title 107 Days. The title of that book needs to be I Told You Bitches So for 107 Days.